Good evening, and welcome to the 26th Annual Sonia Haynes Stone Memorial Lecture. Thank you all so much for agreeing to come out and join with us again. We are always happy when we can get into a space where family comes back together, and this is one of those occasions. For those who are new and for whom this is the first time at the Stone Center, special welcome to you. We hope you will sort of get a sense of what it feels like to be with people who want to see you here and who want you to enjoy yourself while you are here. We have a number of things to get to tonight, so I will skip the normal chitter chatter that I do when we begin a program. I don't want to take away from what we have, but I do want folks to, before you leave, to make sure that you go take a look at our anniversary exhibition. It brings together 14 previous artists that have been here at the Stone Center. It's a wonderful and marvelous sampling. And there's also a Freelon in there, a Freelon Asante in the gallery. There's one thing that you'll find out tonight, that Freelon is all over this building, in every space, in every place, and we're so happy that we've come to invite them and to keep them in our family for such a long time. We're going to ask you to follow the program as it is so that I can sort of minimize my having to come back and forth. But as always, we have a special treat. If you ever get a chance and you go to our website and look under archives and you look back to 1998 and 97 in those years, you'll see a group of students singing. And that group of students is still here, not the same ones, but this is a new group of the same students. And they did an absolutely marvelous and excellent job back in those years, and they're back with us now. So please help me in welcoming Harmonics to do the Black National Anthem.
We will not bow down to of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Is won.
Good evening. My name is Carol Tressolini, Vice Provost for Academic Initiatives here at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm so very pleased to welcome all of you on behalf of the university to this 25th annual Sonia Haynes Stone Memorial Lecture. I'm also honored and thrilled, really, to note that this lecture occurs as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Stone Center, which is such a key part of the office of the Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost and of this university. The Stone Lecture has become tightly woven into the intellectual and artistic fabric of the university, and it continues to bring to our campus outstanding individuals whose lives and works continue the legacy that Dr. Stone established almost 3 decades ago. The university, and particularly the Provost's office, have embraced the objectives of the lecture and join with you in celebrating the singular accomplishments of each of the women who have been selected as memorial lecturers. I'm proud to say that my office has provided direct support for the lecture over the last 25 years and sees this program as an important element of our programmatic plans continuing into the future. As I look at the audience gathered here this evening, I see many familiar faces, both from the campus and the community. So my message to you is welcome back and thank you for coming to participate in and support the Stone Center's work. For some of you, this may be your first visit to the center, and to you, I say you are in for a wonderful evening and welcome. Our lecturer tonight, Nnenna Freelon, is an established member of the Stone Center's extended family, as Joseph alluded to in his opening remarks, both in practice and in spirit. We also continue to acknowledge and celebrate the visionary work of her husband, Phil Freelon, who is most frequently cited these days for his work in designing the National Museum of African American History and Culture, but who should also rightly be acknowledged for his design of this very beautiful building where we're gathered this evening. Further, if I'm not mistaken, and Joseph, please correct me if I'm wrong, almost every member of the Freelon family has at one time or another performed, exhibited, designed, or sung in this building. So I want to thank Joseph Jordan, who so ably leads the Stone Center, and the Stone Center staff, board members, and student affiliates who've worked so hard to organize and prepare for this evening's lecture. I also want to thank them for the great work they do to support the university's broader mission to serve as a center for research, scholarship, and creativity, and to invest our knowledge and resources to enhance access to learning, to foster the success and prosperity of each rising generation, and to serve all the citizens of the state of North Carolina. Could the staff and internal and external board members and affiliated students please rise and be recognized? Finally, in closing, I'd like us all to salute the Stone Center, which has reached the important milestone of its 30th anniversary. The center stands as a reminder of the importance of student foresight and activism, and as a testament to the resolve of alumni and other supporters. The Stone Center building itself is without doubt an important achievement, but I also want us to remember that it was the idea that African American and diaspora arts, cultures, and histories were important, valuable, and worth studying and celebrating. And it was this that brought the Stone Center into being and that sustains it now. The undeniable relevance of that notion remains with us today, and I feel tremendously appreciative that I've been able to witness this history unfold 30 years on, and I look forward to witnessing even greater accomplishments in the coming years. So thank you again for being here, and please enjoy the evening.
You may have heard or detected a discrepancy between 25 and 26. That's my math, your personal math. 1 year we did 2, okay? So I cheated, I'm sorry. So it's 25, and it's the 25th year, but the 26th lecture. How about that? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Julia Morris. I'm a senior here. I'm here on behalf of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Theta Pi chapter here at UNC. Dr. Sonia Haynes Stone came to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 1974. She was a native of Chicago and earned a bachelor's degree in social science from Sarah Lawrence College, a master's in social work from Atlanta University, and a master's in social and ethical philosophy from the University of Illinois at Chicago. She also earned a doctorate in history and the philosophy of education from Northwestern University. While at UNC Chapel Hill, she served as the director of the Curriculum in African American Studies, a post she held until 1979. She founded the Black Press Institute in 1977 and served as its director until 1979. Throughout her tenure at the university, Dr. Stone served as a mentor, teacher, social activist, and as a friend to students and faculty alike. She emphasized to students the importance of leadership and public service, and she played a leading role in helping to establish the Sonia Haynes Stone Center for Black Culture and History. In 1981, she received the Woman of the Year Award from the NAACP, and in 1990, she received a faculty award from the class of 1990. She was also the first recipient of the Outstanding Black Faculty Award from the UNC General Alumni Association in 1990. After her untimely death in 1991, the Stone Center Planning Committee and hundreds of students, faculty, staff, and community members urged the university's Board of Trustees to approve the naming of the center for her. They strongly believe that it was extremely important for the university to memorialize her in a manner that recognized fully her contributions and overall impact on the university community. When the advocacy for a freestanding building began, there was no building on UNC's campus that was named for an African American. The Monogram building that housed the Office of Undergraduate Admissions was not renamed Jackson Hall in honor of Professors Blyden and Roberta Jackson until after advocates noted this lack of recognition. According to Robert Stone L., Dr. Stone's son and current Stone Center board member, to many people, the Stone Center represented a person that gave so much to them and asked so little in return. It is hard to compensate a person like that. Thus, it seemed fitting to honor the legacy of Dr. Stone's and others like her, who inspired the minds, souls, and spirits of those they touched. With all the contributions and sacrifices that people of African descent made to the state of North Carolina and to the country, having a freestanding Stone Center at UNC was the right thing to fight for and ultimately bring into being. The Sonia Haynes Stone Memorial Lecture is an opportunity for us to hear from women who've taken to heart the lessons of Dr. Stone's life. I am proud and gratified that she was an active member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and that her work reflected many of the foundational principles that motivate us and many other organizations to advocate for social justice and equality for all people, no matter where they are in this community, in this nation, or in this world. Since the first Stone Center lecture, we've been pleased and honored to participate and support this program. Thank you for allowing me to remember my soror, our teacher, and our friend, Dr. Sonia Haynes Stone.
I now have the unenviable task of trying to whittle down all of the things I could say about Nnenna Freelon into a 1 or 2 minute introduction. She's shaking her head, but it's the truth. When I came to Durham in 2001 and just trying to figure out my way around where I was going to live in town or whatever, and I remember I was out one day and one person, a friend of mine, said, "Do you know who that is?" I said, nice looking, but I don't know who she is personally. And he said, that's Nina Freelon. I said, no. He said, she lives in Durham. I said, get out. He said, yes, she does. So that was my introduction to Nina outside of what I already had on record. So I'm being very politic here, Phil, so forgive me. I don't want to go past too much, but I was floored to know that someone of her stature had embraced her town and her city and made herself available in ways that you normally don't see. Oftentimes, when you have individuals of this stature, you see them figure out ways to separate themselves, to wall themselves off, to make sure that they feel safe and secure. And I think that with Nnenna, she understood that this also was a community that loved her in the same way that she loved it. She is a 6-time Grammy Award nominee. She has earned a well-deserved reputation as a compelling and captivating live performer. In the past couple of years, she has starred in the critically acclaimed show Georgia on My Mind, celebrating the music of Ray Charles at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. She also has toured with Ray Charles as well as many other great jazz artists, including Ellis Marsalis, Al Jarreau, George Benson, and others. You all who are not only friends of hers but fans of her know that I cannot go through the list of people that she has performed with and mentored and turned out to be an important signpost in this life. However, there's something else that's going on with her now that I think is very important, and I think that I want to acknowledge in this introduction and by way of introduction, that I think with her role as wife and mother and community pillar, she also has seen the need to use her talents. I mean, jazz singers are storytellers anyway, am I right? I mean, the best ones are. The best jazz performers are storytellers. So she took it upon herself to go into another more important or as important venture as a writer, composer, and producer of the original theatrical presentation, The Clothesline Muse, which is a devised theatrical work of dance, music, spoken word, vibrant art, and projections. She is also one of the stars of this production. The Clothesline Muse premiered at the Painted Bride Art Center in Philadelphia in 2013 and went on tour in 2015. It was accomplished with the assistance of her daughter, visual artist Maya Freelon Asante, and Karyama Welsh, chairman of dance at Temple University. The play won a National Theater Project Creation Grant from the New England Foundation for the Arts, which is a much sought-after honor only awarded to 6 worthy recipients each year. The play has also been supported by the National Performance Network. These performances have captivated audiences in different places, right here locally. It is one of those kinds of works that helps you to understand better what it is to do something with family and to accomplish something with family. And I think that it's appropriate that someone with her vision and with her experience and with her sensibilities was able to pull something like this off. She has done a great number of things on the national stage. In November 2011, the White House asked Nnenna to headline the Asia Pacific Economic Summit for 300 presidents, premiers, and heads of state from around the world. This was on the heels of receiving the YWCA of North Carolina's inaugural Legend Award for her outstanding artistry and dedication to education. She has dedicated herself to educating young people, both musicians and non-musicians, and students of all ages. She toured the United States for 4 years as the national spokesperson for Partners in Education. Her master classes and workshops, from sound sculpture to the groundbreaking baby song, teaches adults and children that you too can change the world. And that can be accomplished one person at a time. With her anthem, One Child at a Time, that you can find on her so-called recording, Freelon took on the task of fundraising and bringing greater attention to the needs of children in education through mentoring and the arts. It has become a sought-after song by countless organizations, including the United Way. We are so happy that Nnenna is back. Another point of fact, the first performing artist to perform in the Stone Center was Nnenna Freelon. And she did so as a fundraiser for the Stone Center. So with that, you understand why we love her, why we wanted her back, and why we're so happy that she said yes. So please help me in bringing our sister up to the stage. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Good evening. Wow, that was quite something. Come on, Dean, come on up. There's seats in the front. You can sit where I was sitting. Oh, okay. My son Dean teaches at this prestigious university. Yes. How is everybody this evening? All right. You are invited to my very first PowerPoint lecture. Which way, Phil? This way. Now, here we are at the beginning. Good evening, good evening, good evening to all of you. I'm honored to have the opportunity to commune with you for just a little while. But once again, they have asked a singer to speak. Indeed, they have asked her to lecture. I don't know what they were thinking. But before I begin, I would love to thank Joseph Jordan and his wonderful staff for this incredible honor. My family, my friends, many of whom are in the audience, but most of all, my husband, Phil, who is sitting in the back for some strange reason. He's my inspiration, my hero, and the main reason that I am able to stand here before you this evening. That's him. We have a saying in the African American tradition, and that's that every goodbye ain't gone. Anybody ever heard of that? Every goodbye ain't gone. The older I get, the more true that saying becomes. The veil between this world and the next is very, very thin. And every goodbye ain't gone from the lips of our grandmothers resonates in complete agreement with the physicists who tell us that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. With this thought in mind, I'd like to ask your permission to invoke the spirit of our foremothers. As we approach 2019, the 400th anniversary of the arrival of Africans on these shores in 1619, I just find it important to note that in the 17th century, colonial America, laws were passed that defined children born in the colonies as taking on the status of the mother, regardless as to who the father was. What this meant was that if the mother was enslaved at the time of your birth, you were automatically enslaved as well, no matter the status of your dad, of your father. This law served to cement the institutionalization of slavery and ensured its continuation through the generations. I think that's important to know. And it's with this thought in mind that I ask you to indulge me in calling out the names of our great ancestresses. This would be your great, 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 great grandmother. I'm talking about 14 greats. Most of us are not privy to her name. But I ask you to call out at least the last 4 generations. If you don't know her name, just say great, great, great grandmother. Believe me, she knows who she is. So let's begin. Great, 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 great grandmother enter in. Great, great, great grandmother enter in. Great, great grandmother enter in. Now, I know the name of my great grandmother. Her name was Magdalene. If you know the name of your great grandmother, say it. Enter in. Enter in. Grandmother. Irene was my grandmother's name. Say her name. That's right. Welcome her. Welcome her in. Mother. Whether your mother's on this side of the veil or the other side of the veil. Come on, Francis. Come on. Granny Franny. That's right. Thank you. The veil between these two worlds is very thin, and I feel their spirits even now. Indulge me, please, in this prayer. Oh, mothers, 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 mothers of our mothers, we thank you for the blessing of your lived experience and for ours. We ask that you be with us in this sacred space. Sojourn with us and allow our hearts to listen for your voices between the words and between the worlds. Amen and Ashe. We are here. We are here through amazing grace and good fortune. We are here on the breath and bones of sacrifice. We are here by virtue of corn pone, fatback, grits, greens, and gravy. We are here as a result of making a way out of no way. Stitched by hand, threads of bondage to craft a magic carpet called freedom. We are here marching, prayed up in marching, our mouths proclaiming victory and demanding justice. We are here, soaked by the rainbow birth waters and stained by the sun, evidence that God intended us to be the subject of that song. To be young, gifted, and black. We are here singing songs of blind wonder. Dancing fearless with dukes, counts, queens, and prince. We are here on the proud wings of our Godfather and the High Priestess, sounding in both ears, insisting on the right to free play. We are here in this glorious now, in this bright and shining moment, the children of shapeshifters, fashioning tomorrow and wielding a geometry of faith. We are the future embedded in that song that our grandmothers sang. I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When we get to heaven, we're gonna put on our shoes and gonna walk all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Heaven, heaven, I got a robe, you got a robe. All God's children got a robe. When we get to heaven, gonna put on our robes and walk all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven, everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Heaven, heaven, heaven. So as I was preparing for this lecture, my mother visited me in a dream. She often does that. My mother passed from this life in 2011, but she's very busy. There she is. Hey, Mom. She suggested that I sing I Got Shoes. And when I awakened from my dream, that melody was dancing in my head. Does that ever happen to you? that a song just won't let you go, insisting on itself and intruding on your mental space. I didn't want to sing I Got Shoes, and I had reasons. One is an old Negro spiritual, and I didn't want to be singing anything old. I want to be singing something new. Nobody even knows the song. These are the reasons that I was running around in my head. And it doesn't even use proper English. I'm going to a storied institution singing about I got shoes. Really, Mom? Really? Okay, says my mother. Then sing I Have Shoes. See how that feels. And so I did, in my head, sing with the revised proper grammatical structure. I have shoes, and it sounded ridiculous. The rest of the conversation with my mother went something like this. Mother, of course it sounds ridiculous. Got is used on purpose in this song. Why? Because got has more power. It's stronger than have. Me. What do you mean, Mother? If you have something, it could have been given to you, bought, bartered, borrowed. But when you got something, it implies you had a little bit of agency in getting, as in get it while the getting is good. Woo, Mom was right again. In the interest of keeping it real, I had to admit that she was right. Have is passive when compared to got. Got has an undeniable energy that the word have just lacks. Madison Avenue apparently agrees. The $23 million ad campaign, Got Milk, found its way into our popular culture. Our divinely inspired ancestors created this song in resistance to an institution designed to crush their minds, their bodies, and their spirits. They sang. I got shoes. The institution of slavery dictates that only those who could produce income were worthy of being shod. Therefore, the aged and the very young were not provided with shoes. Barefoot or feet wrapped in rags were the alternatives. The ancient Afrofuturist songsters proclaimed got in the context of an absurd institution, claiming justice and equality within a reality where it was not so. You got shoes. The Afrofuturist songster examines the feet of the master, making note of the privilege worn on his or her feet. All God's children got shoes. Brilliant statement of the truth yet to be born. All, not some, of God's children must have shoes. God does not discriminate amongst his own. When we get to heaven, we're going to put on our shoes and going to walk all over God's heaven. Heaven, as sung here, is a place of freedom on this earthly plane. There were sets of rigid rules in plantation life designed to control the movements of enslaved peoples. These rules were critical to maintaining law and order in a system where the enslaved easily outnumbered the masters. Moving about freely was unheard of, and a written pass was required to travel from one place to another. Being caught on the road without a pass could result in a whipping or much, much worse. When we get to heaven, we're going to put on our shoes and walk wherever we please. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Okay, so this is my favorite line. This is the translation. Just because you say it, don't make it so. The enslaved were exposed to a Christian theology. White preachers would often spread the gospel of obedience and service to the master. They were told Work hard, be obedient, and you'll receive your reward in the sweet by and by. Of course, the enslaved made a clear distinction between masses preaching and real preaching. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. A commentary on the hypocrisy of masses preaching, which suggested that the enslaved were serving God's purpose and that the ultimate reward awaited them on Canaan's other shore. Songs of resistance crafted with code switching and layered meanings are deeply embedded in the sonic culture of our forebears. Our foremothers and fathers used their voices to resist an impossible system of dominance and control over their bodies and minds. This song is a testament to that ongoing struggle. I'd like to read an excerpt, speaking about struggle, from a poem written by Audre Lorde entitled A Litany for Survival. And this is just an excerpt. And when we speak, we are afraid. Our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering that we were never meant to survive. And yet, we are here on this very evening in this brilliant now. The great, great, great grandchildren of survivors. Perhaps we were not meant to survive by some, and we are here. Occupying this time and space for a season and a reason. Reflecting on the idea of living for a season is to acknowledge the simple truth that we humans are mortal. We are born, we live, and someday we all will die. 7 billion of us human folk, tied to a cycle that includes our natural world with its plants and animals and rocks and stars and galaxies. Indeed, the entire universe is constantly moving in a flow from beginnings to endings, over and over and over. Recent personal events have brought this reality to my heart's doorstep. In March of 2016, my husband Phil was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. While this neurological disease is considered both incurable and rare, I must say that everything is rare until it happens to you or somebody that you love. I find talking about ALS to be exhausting. Risk factors, drug trials, supplements, life expectancy, all of it just wears me out. But I'd still like to keep it real and talk about living. Really, really living. During our 31-month journey with Crazy Uncle Al, we like to call him Crazy Uncle Al, crazy. There have been some unexpected blessings and insights. The thought that we might have less time together than we had imagined has propelled us and compelled us to do rather than to wait. So in November 2016, we traveled to Argentina. We didn't do the tango, but we did go to Argentina. And in January 2017, we went to Cuba, a place we both longed to visit. Living with Uncle Al has made us far more sensitive to the phrase, get it, get it, get it, while the getting is good. And also provided a few lessons for living along the way. I'll share a few of them with you. Create time for the people and the things that you love. We rush around so busy, busy, busy. The things that we love are at our fingertips and we don't even acknowledge them. Take time to listen to the body and respond when it needs rest. Naps are my new beauty treatment. Cultivate an appreciation for the word no. My mother used to say, no is a love word and a full sentence. Learn to live in the moment. This has been a real hard lesson for me. I'm a planner, you see. Always making plans. Lists. I like lists. Lots of lists. Running around, not even able to really enjoy this thing because I'm already thinking about the next thing. But Uncle Al makes you pay attention to this moment. One of the fun things that Phil and I did anybody see the solar eclipse? Okay, so and there've been a couple of lunar eclipses in the same time frame. We just drank it all in, you know, it was beautiful. We were all standing out there in the park watching the sun go dark, and it was an amazing experience. Celebrate what is possible on any given day. And what's possible on Monday may not be possible on Wednesday. Listen to the messages from the natural world. I must say I've had visits from songbirds, lunar moths, hoot owls, and dragonflies. And learn a new skill. That's something else I just learned. Learn a new skill. That's us taking a welding class. Now let me just tell you, I'm afraid of things that are real hot and loud things and heavy things and things that could cut off a finger. But I challenge myself by taking a welding class, and I love it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Gloves, you know, big helmet, all that is great. And do something, one thing, anything, every single day that brings you joy and gratitude. Legacy is a theme that's been coming up again and again for Phil and I. This glorious now is in constant motion, and we've made up a word for it called time. Physicists state that time is an illusion, but be that as it may, there will come a time when we experience those we love in our memories, not in the physical. Phil and I have spent a lot of time thinking about what legacy means to us and perhaps to others. Phil is one of those truly blessed people who's been able to do what he loves through architecture. He's one of the lucky ones who's known what he wanted to do since childhood. Whoops. Oh boy, I love that picture. He has dedicated his life to the preservation of cultural histories of people of color through the design of buildings and spaces of remembrance. This very building, the Sonia Haynes Stone Center, is one of Phil Freelon's brick and mortar dreams come to life. But there are others. Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta, MOAD in San Francisco, Freedom Park. That's my favorite one. Woo-hoo. We can clap on that. Along the way, he's won the respect and admiration of a few impressive people. He's still moving and grooving, loving his design role, working on the new Motown Museum in Detroit. As proud as I am of all of his accomplishments in the design world, the impact that he's had as a husband and a father is what really, truly moves me. Back in the day, before Grammy nominations, international acclaim, world tours, it was Phil's support and unwavering faith in me as a person, an artist, and a woman that allowed me to soar. When I had doubts and I had a mouthful of excuses, he took them all away by saying, "You can do this, and I will help you." As a father, Phil shines as an example of love, support, and that good old-fashioned dad humor. Dads can say some things that moms just can't say. Whoops. Dad humor. In all the ways that truly matter, he's always been there for us, the family. I remember when we first met, so many years ago, over 40 years ago, he was talking about wanting to be a father. Now, for those of you still looking for the Mr. or Ms. Right, I don't suggest that you start talking about wanting to be a parent on the first date. That wasn't even a date. I had just met him. And he was talking about wanting his father and, about how his father was such a great father and how he was looking forward to be you are lucky that didn't scare me. Yet he is still the strong, beautiful person, handsome man that I married 39 years ago this month. And in each month, poor thing, he didn't know what he was getting into. He thought he was gonna marry some nice little girl from Cambridge who was just gonna be content to be a hospital administrator or some other kind of desk job. He just had no idea. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Each moment is so precious. I'm grateful for the gift of our lives together, and we continue to grow in spirit, in mind, and in emotion, our emotional strength. This thing ain't over yet. Although some may say we have less time than we thought we might have, all that any of us can really say is that we got this glorious now. This moment, this breath. Last year, Phil and I decided to embark on a legacy project in downtown Durham. North Star Church of the Arts. The name North Star relates to the quest for freedom by runaway enslaved Africans. With a mixture of fear and faith, they searched the night sky for the brightest star at the bottom of the Little Dipper. Follow the drinking gourd. That bright star pointed north out of the darkness and into the light and the promise of freedom and justice. North Star Church of the Arts will be that kind of place. A creative congregation, interfaith community, where all are invited to worship at the intersection of spirituality and the arts. So what does that look like? That looks like a hip hop DJ and a Baptist preacher trying to work it out for service. They just have to work it out. That looks like an imam and a dancer. Get over it, dance, and tell a story and feed our spirits. That's what that looks like. North Star will be pointing the way for seekers and stargazers of all ages, races, sexual orientations, and backgrounds. We plan to be up and running by the end of 2018. And Phil and I are so pleased to put our energies into this healing legacy through North Star Church. In closing, let me return to my poem, We Are Here. We are here carrying the satchel purse our great-grandmother gave to us, holding high the bills for her service marked unpaid and way overdue, her recipe for spoon bread and keys to the kitchen and the bedroom. We are here choking on the dust of the new Jim Crow racism and sick to death of drinking white Russians. We are here bearing the watermark of Katrina and still dripping wet from Florence. We are here toppling the monuments, the monuments, visible and invisible, and insisting on a change in the entire conversation. We are here heeding the advice of our Godfather to use what we got to get what we want. We are here, humans, loving each other without apology or shame. We are here by amazing grace, the children of survivors in this golden time. We are the answers to all that we seek. We were dreamed here for a reason by a people who had little reason to believe that dreams could come true. And yet, we are here. We are here. We are here. Thank you.
We're going to stay, and I know folks want to know a little bit more about the
The church?
North Star.
Church?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
So can you?
Sure, I'd be
how-
happy.
I know people want to be involved, so
Okay.
if you can say a little bit about how they can connect
Okay.
with you.
All right, well, North Star Church of the Arts is up and running at the end of the year. We're in renovation phase right now. Phil and I both felt that with all the changes that are happening in downtown Durham, we needed to hold space for people who are underrepresented, brown people, immigrants, it's a place for all people. There's no religion except the arts. So even if you can't dance, if you like to see people dance, come, you in. And we're not going to get into this whole thing about religion because, after all, God don't have no religion. Okay, so reach out to us if you would like more. We're going to have third Sunday service. We're going to have jazz vespers. We're going to have poetry readings. We're going to have dance unto the Lord, however you define that. If you don't even believe in anything, come on anyway. We're not going to try to convince you. We're just going to play some music and you feel good, and that's it. That's it. That's our concept. Church of the Arts, viewing the arts as a way to grow closer to each other and to spirit. Did you want to do questions and answers?
Yeah,
Oh, I
people
don't know.
have-
Do you all have questions? All right, well, ask away. Where is it? Downtown Durham, 220 West Gear Street. Right in the middle of all this happening.
Go ahead. You got a question?
Somebody?
You co-sign, okay. You testify, all right. Go in the back there.
Hey.
I had the pleasure of going to the museum. Oh, it is just marvelous. Really, in 3 or 4 days, you just know that
You do.
very exposed and very careful.
Indeed.
And Phil, as always, has done an excellent job. I've known Phil for years. He came to speak with us with the National Society of Black Engineers, and I followed him in Nnenna, and that was in the 80s.
Uh-oh.
So we've been together a long time.
I love it.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ms. Freelon. I had a question.
Can you stand for us, though?
Excuse me. I'm not faculty here. I was going to say, I had a question about the relationship between Black love and Black culture for you, because I felt like your entire presentation was so transformative, and it felt also like a multimedia love poem that included us all, right?
I love
So
that.
I wondered if, because you're in, like if you could say something as an artist, like about that relationship between, I know that Dr. Jordan used the phrase like about your family as a family, but about love and its connection to the arts of people.
Sure. What does love look like is such a good question to ask, because we have these stories in our head of what love looks like, and he's riding on a horse and you getting swept up or some such nonsense. That is not what love looks like. Love looks like doing the difficult if it's necessary. Love looks like keeping your mouth shut when you know you're right. But when you feel that need to just say that, you just hush because you love the person. And later on, they will come to you and say, you were right. And you don't even nod, you just say, I think the arts offer us an opportunity to see ourselves. Sometimes you don't even know who you are until you do something. And so I tell my students, look in the mirror if you want to see a miracle. Look in the mirror. Don't look for clouds to open and angels all dressed in white, gold shoes. Well, maybe the gold shoes. You are already a miracle, because the world kind of already said you are a non-important being. But here you are. Here we are. And this poem went on and on and on. I had to cut it. I was like, I know Dr. Jordan doesn't want me to go on and on and on and on. But to remind ourselves with the mantra that we are here for a season, that we will not always be here. And we run from this idea. We run from this idea, but inside of our art, we can find a little respite. We can find a little space to create and to be and to have that reflected back to us as love. And the thing is, when you're being your authentic self, it can't help but roll off of you and onto everybody else. No one feels like they have to pretend if you are being who you are, who you truly are. And so for me, that's the arts. Anybody else questions? Come on, Lois, you know you have a question. Come on. Okay.
I was really appreciative of your invoking the foremothers and the idea of holding space in Durham in the face of gentrification. Those two things together, I think the idea of what it is to recognize your spot in line is important in what it was you had to say. I wonder if you could expand on that.
Sure. Life is this funny thing that we kind of understand backwards. Oh, that's what that was. We want to get out ahead of that just a little bit and look at the world around us as an opportunity to be, fully be in this moment. But first you have to recognize that you are something special, something worth being. And the arts help, for me personally, they help me identify who and whose I am. And I'm walking very, very carefully because I know that the veil between the two worlds is thin. We've sort of lost touch with realizing that it's not just what you do in your own little way that matters. Grandmama's words, great-grandmama's words, and grandfather's words come back to us, and they are alive again. And we have a responsibility to be equal to the sacrifices that they made. No, we don't have to do it the way they did it. They don't want that. They don't want that. They want us to walk on a little straighter, a little stronger, emboldened by what they have already done for us. To take that energy, because you know the physicists say the energy can't be, I'm just saying. So if that energy is free and available, let us open our pocketbooks. Let's smack it on our faces like the Jean Natte. Y'all know about Jean Natte? Don't act like you don't know about Jean Natte. Yellow and black bottle, come on. Put it on yourself. Here we are in majority institutions without the coverings, okay? I'm speaking truth to you now. We're nurtured by our families, and then we come into these institutions without a covering. Well, we have to make a covering, make a what did you call it, Debbie? Ephod. Make our own ephod, make our own, and we are covered by these grandmama sayings and these memories. And if you don't have some, you got whole libraries here, all this stuff. Grab what works for you and use that. Use that. Yes, love. Hey.
So my question is, because for those of you all who don't know, I'm an artist as well, but I'm also a scientist. I work in renewable energy.
Okay.
So between you and you, how do you make the arts and science work? I mean, I know the family, it seems like everybody in the family has, Pierce has this part, Maya has that part.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it's arts and science. It's a Da Vinci type thing. So how do you make it work or bring it full circle for the collective of just the diaspora? Because it's like a little bit easier.
Well, I mean, I think architecture has this unique ability to blend the arts and the sciences. I've learned a lot from Phil. I can walk into a building and know, that must be a load-bearing wall. That must be. I amaze people with, Gothic, da-da-da-da-da. Be like, I just read that. My husband told me. But I've become more sensitive to spaces. When the ceiling's low and the lights are orange and you're feeling some kind of way, you're looking for a reason why I feel that way. A lot of it goes right over our heads. We don't have to compartmentalize. We can open our hearts to everything that brings us joy, everything. I have counseled, young musicians whose parents wanted them to be something else, anything else but an artist. And this one young man, he was just tortured because he was quite an accomplished violinist. But his family absolutely forbade him to study the violin or to make a career of it. You're gonna starve, you'll have an unhappy life. Besides, we all have it all planned out for you. You're gonna be, a doctor like your dad. And this child was tortured, just really, And I was like, okay, let's go, hold up now. I don't want to get in the way between you and your people. And there is space in this world for the artist in you. And if you enjoy the healing aspect, take that healing energy into your violin. Take it there. And if you love medicine also, do a mashup. I'm telling you, we don't have a cure for cancer right now because nobody's talking to the artists. If we spoke to the artists, we might be looking at this problem from a different perspective. So covalent bonds notwithstanding, we do know some things. And so I do believe that in the future, when we see advances in science, the inquiry that the artist brings to the table helps inform the whole thing. So it's not science here and art here and some other stuff over there. It's all of it. It's all of it. I have to work no less hard at what I do than the brain surgeon. There's a funny commercial, I think it's, something like Holiday Inn Express, where the person is in the operating room and the nurse says, well, scalpel? He's like, I don't know. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. Okay, so I don't really like that kind of thing because that's the way they look, all these shows that, The Voice and the this and the that. That is not really how you walk this road of being an artist. It's not an overnight kind of thing. There's a lot that you have to learn. And so it gives you the wrong impression. You can be an overnight success, but you can't really last that long. So I would like the same kind of respect for the artist who has to work and refine and define who they are every single night. Okay, I'm off my high horse now, yes.
We're gonna take one last question because people are hungry.
Hungry.
I've just been tremendously moved. I'm a Christian preacher. But I could hear, as you wove through this incredible presentation, the identity of all of humanity culminating in the opening words of Scripture. In the beginning, God created. So I just applaud that.
Oh, thank you. And I'm about to get your card because it sounds like you just might be perfect.
Please join me once again. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Right. I want to make this one last identification. When we asked Nnenna to do this and then sat by the phone for the next 3 weeks, hoping that she would say yes, when she finally said yes, I mentioned to her that we had most of our lectures online, and I said there's one that I think is probably stands out as one of the best that we'd ever seen, and she said, well, send it to me. That one's gone. That was gone. I have a new favorite. This is it. We're looking forward to editing it and getting up online, and for those of you who teach using the arts and sometimes stumble on how to explain how it operates in our lives, we have some new instructional videos for you. Thank you so much for coming out. Please stay. We have, of course, refreshments for folks outside. Please come up and celebrate and thank Nnenna and enjoy yourselves. Also, talk to each other. All right, thank you.